A lot of us remember those years when we were still kids and were voracious readers. Any book we could lay our hands on, we read it. Whether it's our fathers, whether it's our friends' books, we just ensured to keep reading. And for some of you, that's the reason why you know so many words even up till today. The fact that you expanded your vocabulary at such a young age has even followed you till now. Then came a few years. I would say life happened. And for some reason, a lot of us just grew cold when it comes to reading books. We'd start books we wouldn't be able to finish. We'd just forget about it and just get so engrossed in the activities that life throws at us. I would say this is normal to an extent. But we also understand that we cannot just go through life just engaging with bite-sized clips, engaging with 1 minute, 2 minute videos on Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media is the rave, and go on with that. There needs to be an avenue for us to engage with ideas at a much deeper level. And I believe firmly that reading books is one way to do that. 2024 August, upon arriving in China, I knew that I wanted to engage more with books, but I still struggled badly with it. I would start, I wouldn't be able to finish. Then came 2025. I decided, resolved, like everyone would do at the beginning of the year, that, oh, I'm going to read books this year. I'm going to grow exponentially this year. January came and left. I was not serious with that. But February then came, and I decided to start documenting. I decided to get more intentional with my process of reading books. What happened in that process is that I not only read for myself, I began to notice patterns that helped me read more. I shared this with some people. I created a book club in the process, and I found out that these things are applicable to everybody. I've noted 7 ways that you can read consistently if applied meticulously. And I have my trusted journal here to help me to stay on track. Let's get right to it, shall we? The first thing that you need to do is start small. I understand that you've created a resolution at the beginning of the year that you want to read 1,000 books. I'm just exaggerating, but you get the point. Some of you have said you're going to read 100 books, 50 books, 30 books, and that's fine. However, on a day-to-day basis, there needs to be a bar that you set for yourself. And that bar, for someone who has been struggling so far with reading, that bar when you're just starting should be very low. Set a small standard for yourself. If you're just starting to read after a few years of not engaging with books and you say that you want to start reading 1 hour every day, I would say you're setting up yourself for failure. Now, when people ask me that, what do you think, or how many minutes do you think I should read for per day, I would usually recommend between 5 minutes to 10 minutes for a start. And if you're struggling so bad, there's grace available. Read 3 minutes, read 5 pages every day. The point is to build consistency so that you do not get wrecked just at the beginning of your journey. That's why somebody who set a resolution in January and by February or March, they've abandoned it completely because they got overwhelmed. So the first one is start small. The next one is to stay accountable. I mentioned that in the process of reading for myself last year, I started a book club, and that was in a bid to help others to get accountable. And I can say for sure that for those who have been intentional with being accountable on that group, they've been able to read more. I remember about 2-3 people off the top of my head now that I've read about 3 books this year. And for me, that's a win. For them also, that's a win. When you consider that we are coming from places where we were not even able to finish 3 books in a year, and now in just about 1 month or 2 months, we've been able to read over 3 books. That's very good, I reckon. Be accountable. My accountability was public. So when I'm reading, I share a picture online. I tell people, oh, this is the book I'm reading. And if I get any updates or if I think anything about the book, I just share that online and I say, oh, this is what I thought about this book. I thought it was really good. I didn't exactly like this one. Oh, I thought that the way the author framed this in this particular section was really nice. And that helped me to keep going. The next one I'm going to share is read what you love until you love to read. Some people may have heard me say this from time to time. Read what you love until you love to read. The last thing you want to be doing when you're trying to build your reading habit back up is to read something that is so complex that you get overwhelmed, or so complex that you get bored reading it. I remember one of the books that stirred me to keep reading last year was The Mark of the Lion trilogy by Francine Rivers. The book is awesome. And now when some people who don't mind reading Christian books, when they ask me for recommendations, that's one of the books I start them with. I say, okay, go read A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. Go read An Echo in the Darkness. Go read As Sure as the Dawn. It's a trilogy, so 3 of them, they have like the same storyline or the same plot. So read what you love until you love to read. It might be a fiction book that just starts you up on that journey of showing up consistently, showing up every day to read. I remember for one of those books, I read for like 3 hours consistently. The day I picked up A Voice in the Wind, I could not concentrate in class because I was so engrossed with this novel, and I ensured that I read it within one day. Most Francine Rivers books that I read, they're within a day or 2 days max. I just finished reading them. So for me, it has now turned to a pattern of picking up a book by Francine Rivers when I feel like, there's a dip in my reading habit. I just pick that up to just stir myself up again. So read what you love. You might read something that is very interesting before you then bounce to something that has complex information. The next one is you can read more than one book at once. Some of us think that once I'm set on a book, I should just stick with it. May work for you, but for me, I find that if I'm reading more than one book at once, I can move from one to the other if one of them is a bit complex, or if one of them is just a bit overwhelming or nerve-wracking. I just put it down, then I move to another one. The point is that I don't want to break my chain. So I just pick one book, I read that, and if it's very interesting, I can finish that book at once, then move to the next one. But I usually have about 2 books, sometimes even 3 that I'm reading. I remember when I was reading Secrets of the Secret Place this year, I was reading A Year of Reading Dangerously by Andy Miller on the side also. So I had those 2. And at some point, Secrets of the Secret Place was like a drag for me to read it. And it was like, it had dense information. So I just put it aside, went to A Year of Reading Dangerously. When I was done, I went back and I continued until I was able to finish reading the book. So you can read more than one book at a time. Pick 2, pick 3. I'll just say 2 to start with, and you can just shuffle between the 2 depending on where you are with the individual books. I would go back to the accountability point and say, while mine was online, yours could be one person or 2 people, or you could have a group of friends that you are accountable to and tell them that I'm going to be reading X amount of books, I'm going to be reading Y amount of books. I have people who have reached out to me and said, okay, could you just help me stay accountable with books? And yeah, I just set reminders to check up on them. I have about one of them that I'm going to send a reminder to, okay, how's it going? But the point is, the fact that they reached out to me and said, okay, could you help me stay accountable with reading? I said, okay, no problem. So for you, it could be a friend. I mentioned also that I have a group called the Daily Percent Book Club, where we are committing to reading daily, building that habit of showing up every day to read. So that's an extra point on accountability. Now I've spoken about starting small. I've spoken about accountability. I said read what you love until you love to read. I said read more than one book at once. The next one is read everywhere. I can't overemphasize this one. Read everywhere. One thing I'm doing right now is when I get into a bus and I have a physical book with me, say something like this. When I have a physical book with me, I just pick it up and read. Instead of doom scrolling on my phone, instead of checking messages or whatever it is, I just put down my phone and try to read throughout the whole journey of being in the bus. That helps me to just detach from the online world and stay rooted in the book. Sometimes I don't even know until I've gotten to my stop that, I need to put this down. I just get in the zone while I'm reading. So read everywhere. Read in the taxi, read in the bus, read while you're waiting for your coffee, read while you're waiting for the doctor's appointment. Just ensure that you try to read everywhere. You'd find that you can build this into yourself such that instead of reaching for a social media application, what you then reach out for is a book if you have a physical one. If you don't have a physical one, I would recommend for those who are using the iPhone, there's the app called the Books app. It's an Apple app, so it integrates well with the phone and it can help you track the amount of time that you read for in a day. It works best with EPUB files, so .epub file. So if you're looking for an ebook, look for one with the .epub files so that it can properly track. So read everywhere. Read at home. Read while you're eating. Yes, you should. You can read while you're eating instead of scrolling online, instead of doing other things. Just read while you're eating. The other one is share what you learn. You can pick Twitter, you can pick Instagram, and you'd find with time that interest that you have with reading books, there are others that share that interest, and you can even amass a following from doing this. That's one of my goals for this year, to share more of what I learn. And it doesn't have to be very big stuff, or it doesn't have to be a very packaged video. You could just make a short video of you sharing, oh, I was reading this book and I thought to share this. I was reading that book and I thought to share this, and this is what I learned from this. This is what I learned from that. Share what you learn. You find that in the process of also sharing what you learn, you retain more information. Like we would say with normal academics, one of the ways to reinforce the information that you've studied is to teach somebody. The same thing applies to reading books. When you share what you learn, you'd find that you remember it more. You'd see that you're able to recall the information in conversations, especially for people who also have reviews. This also ties back to accountability. If you have a group where you guys share about what you've learned in the book, you find that you're able to remember it more. The last one is drop books without guilt. Don't be afraid to drop a book if you are not feeling it. Don't be afraid to drop a book if you've read some pages and you still are not able to relate or connect with the book. Now, remember that I said that after you've read a few pages, it's not that you just read 2-3 pages and then you drop it. There are some books that might be very flat at first, then they peak in the middle or peak at the end. So you have to build that stamina to keep going or follow the storyline. But if to some extent you're not just able to connect, if a book drains you more than it fills you, then you might need to drop the book. So you don't have to feel burdened to finish every book that you pick up. If a book is not resonating with you deeply, give it some grace. Maybe you need to go and come back. And after a while, if it's still the same thing, feel free to drop it. And those are the 7 points that helped me to read more books last year. If you apply these things, I can guarantee you, at this point, I can say, yes, it's a guarantee that if you would apply the things that I've shared here, you're going to read more books. Let me give a bonus for those who have stuck with me up till this point. Place visual cues everywhere. I have 1, 2, plus I have 3, about 4 more books on this side. I have books beside my bed. You can see at the back there, I have some in the shelf. They are visual cues for me. So when I'm bored, sometimes it's a reminder for me to just pick up a book and read, pick up a book and get into it. So having these visual cues would help associate or condition your environment to push you towards reading. On the flip side, if you want to use your phone less, you can just put it out of sight so that you're not able to look at it. And for those who read on their phones, I did a lot of this last year. What you can do is block your applications, block yourself from using this application. There's this application I use, it's called Opal, OPAL. It's the name of the application. I could share it maybe somewhere here. Just share the here or share it somewhere here. So I'll just share the name of the application so that you can check it out. And what you do is you time block. So for a particular period of time, you can block yourself from using this application so that you can devote more time to reading or doing whatever it is that you want to do. That's all for this video, and I hope that with these points that I've shared, you're going to record more progress with your reading goals this year. Again, if you're interested, you can reach out. Probably I'll drop a link to the book club in the description, so ensure to check that out. I could also drop it in the comments as a pinned comment. You could check it out, and I believe that if you're part of the community, we're people that will jeer you or stir you up towards reading more. That's all for this video. I hope that you picked a thing or two that you can apply. Please apply it. That's the point of videos like this. once I share things, it's of no benefit if you just listen and just go your own way. Do what you hear, do those things that you learn, and you'd record progress in your own life too. That's all for this video. My name is Adelami. I am the Global Icon. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.